You are born on May 23rd, 1999 in Seattle, Washington, into a house that has its own zip code and a swimming pool with music that plays underwater. Your father is the richest man on earth, not in the way that phrase usually lands, as an abstraction, a number on a list somewhere, richest, on earth. The year you arrive, his net worth crosses $90 billion. The doctors who deliver you will never earn in their lifetimes what your father makes in a single afternoon. You don't know any of this yet. You just know that your house is very large and your father is sometimes there and sometimes somewhere else entirely, and that both of these things seem equally normal. Your name is Rory. Your middle name is John, chosen to honor one of your mother's closest friends who died of cancer. The name carries grief before you're old enough to carry anything. You are born into memory before you've had the chance to make any of your own. The house you grow up in is called Xanadu 2.0, named after a fictional estate in a movie about a man who built an empire and forgot what he was building it for. It has 66,000 square feet, 7 bedrooms, 6 kitchens, 24 bathrooms, a private library, a theater room, a trampoline room with ceilings tall enough to forget the sky, and a swimming pool with an underwater sound system. The sand on the private beach was flown in from the Caribbean. There are sensors in the floor that recognize the weight of individual footsteps and adjust the temperature in each room as you move through it. You grow up in a house that knows where you are at all times. It will take you years to understand why that detail feels significant. At age 5, you do the dishes after dinner. This is not a joke. Your parents are deliberate about it. You and your sisters wash the plates in a house worth $130 million, and you are not allowed to stop doing it just because the house could pay for 1,000 people to wash them instead. Your mother calls it a middle-class upbringing. Your father calls it love and logic. You call it doing the dishes because you are 5, and that is what it is. No phone until you are 14. This is the rule, the firm non-negotiable rule, issued by the man who put a computer in every home on the planet. He limits your screen time at dinner, phones off at the table. He reads 50 books a year, your father, and he does not believe a screen is the same thing as a book. You are not sure you agree, but 14 is the rule, and so you wait. Twice a year, your father disappears, not metaphorically, physically. He drives to a small cabin somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, armed with nothing but a bag of books and research papers, and he stays there for 7 days, completely alone. No phone calls, no email, no family, a caretaker slipping 2 simple meals under the door each day. He calls it Think Week. He has been doing it since before you were born, since the early days of Microsoft, when he would retreat into silence to think about the future. The future he was thinking about was other people's future. The cabin was his, and so was the thinking, and during those weeks you were somewhere else entirely. You learn early that the most important things in your father's world happen in rooms you are not in. School is Lakeside, the same private institution your father attended, the same corridors where he met Paul Allen and they dreamed up Microsoft on a school computer in the 1970s. You walk those same corridors decades later and the school received $40 million from your father the year you were 10. There are buildings with his name on them. You attend school inside your father's donations. You take tests in hallways he funded. The weight of legacy in a building is a particular kind of pressure, invisible but structural like load-bearing walls. Your classmates are not ordinary children. Their parents are doctors, professors, executives. But there is still a difference, and you feel it in the way conversations shift slightly when your last name comes up. Teachers compensate carefully, some overcorrect. Some are intimidated in ways they try to hide but don't quite manage. You are not unwelcome anywhere. You are simply never entirely anonymous. The name arrives in every room before you do and rearranges the furniture before you sit down. At age 12, you inherit your father's obsession with puzzles. Your mother writes about it in an essay years later as if it is an endearing continuity between generations, and it is. But puzzles are also the activity of someone who wants a problem with a definite solution. You come from a man who has spent his entire adult life trying to solve problems that have no clean answer: poverty, disease, inequality, the distance between the world as it is and the world as it should be. You sense, even at 12, that the puzzle obsession is not about puzzles at all. The summer you turn 16, your father's face is on the news again, not for Microsoft, for the foundation, for a speech about malaria in Africa or polio in Southeast Asia or school reform in American cities that have never heard the name of the street you live on. You are proud of him in the abstract, specific way that children of famous people learn to be proud, a pride that has more to do with evidence than emotion. The evidence is real, the work is real, you have visited the countries, you have seen the hospitals, you know better than most people your age what $1 billion can actually do when it reaches the ground. But you also know what it costs to have that kind of father. He is solving the world's problems. The world is a large place. You are one person in it. The divorce arrives in May 2021, announced on Twitter in a joint statement so carefully worded it reads like a press release written by people who both love their children and have excellent lawyers. They say they will continue their philanthropic work. They say they remain committed. They say the foundation will endure. Both of them are right about all of these things, and you are 22 years old watching your parents dissolve a 27-year marriage in 280 characters, and none of those accurate, well-worded, professionally composed sentences tell you what to do with the feeling that some permanent structure has quietly come down. Later it emerges that your father had an affair with a Microsoft employee in 2000, that your mother had known, that she had asked him to stop meeting with Jeffrey Epstein years before the world found out who Epstein was, and he had not stopped. You are old enough to hold these facts alongside the other facts, alongside Think Week and the dishwashing rule and the library and the trampoline room and the sand from the Caribbean. You are old enough to understand that a person can contain all of these things at once. You are not sure it makes it easier. You graduate from the University of Chicago, double major, master's degree, 4 years. It is exactly the kind of achievement that gets 2 sentences in every profile written about you, because no matter how precisely you build your own credentials, the paragraph always starts with his name. You go on to pursue a PhD at the Institute for World Politics. You become an analyst for the Afghanistan War Commission. You are building something real. You are building it methodically, the way you were raised, carefully, with purpose. And still every article begins the same way, only son of heir to. Your father has said publicly that you will inherit less than 1% of his fortune. He has said it is not a dynasty. He has said it would not be a favor to give you more. He is correct about all of this, and you know he is correct, and knowing something is correct does not always stop it from landing strangely. The man who has pledged to give away virtually everything he has spent his life building has framed the decision as an act of love. It may well be, it may be the most loving thing he has ever done for you. You are still working out how to hold that thought. Somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, there is a small cabin on the water where your father goes twice a year to be completely alone and think about the future. He has been doing it since the 1990s. He was doing it when you were born. He was doing it when you were learning to walk on the floors of Xanadu 2.0, floors that knew the weight of your footsteps and adjusted the temperature of your world accordingly. You have never been inside that cabin. It is his in the way that very few things belong entirely to him. You think about that sometimes, not with resentment, just with the quiet awareness that some part of your father has always existed at a distance, in a room at the edge of a forest, alone with books and paper and the long weight of thinking, trying to figure out the future. And you grew up in everything he built around that sense, the mansion, the foundation, the name, the rules about dishes and phones and what it means to earn something in a world that has already given you everything. He was thinking about the future the whole time. You were the future he came home to. You are still figuring out what to do with that.